Joined now by Raymond Ledwaba, the founder of I Think Gaming and the AfriGames Consortium for Inside Your Business, helping us understand the gaming boom on the African continent. Mr. Ledwaba, it's great to touch base with you again. The last time I spoke to you, it was the Festival of Entrepreneurship a few weeks ago, and I witnessed you on a panel, really sharing a lot of amazing insight into your journey thus far. Welcome to Kaya Biz, Raymond.
Good evening, and thank you, Gugu.
I'm excited to speak to you because I guess for many of us, when we think gaming, we think, PlayStation, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whichever one we're on now, or in Xbox. And we really think of it as recreational activity. But it is far from that when we talk about its economic contribution and the kind of capital that's being raised behind businesses that are in the gaming environment. Help us contextualize gaming in Africa beyond just recreation.
Yeah, no, thanks. I mean, that's a good point. So many of us love playing video games. In fact, around the world, almost half of the world's population, that's like 3 billion people around the world, play video games. And the industry generates more revenues than the music and the film industry combined. And if you look at, the fastest growing markets around the world from a revenue generation perspective, Africa is one of those fast growing markets. And for us, the issue has always been that, we always play games and many people play games, but we don't make the video games. So less than 1% of video game developers and producers around the world are Africans. So we are very consumerist. And that's something for me, I'm really working hard with my colleagues to say we need to really develop an ecosystem and an industry to ensure that the monies made in this space remain at home, right? Because they leave our shores going to all those companies that you've mentioned that, produce games, they sell hardware and merchandise and IP and all of the great things that we love about games.
Help us understand how your business, as well as other players in the industry, are contributing to developing more African technology and gaming within the ecosystem.
Yeah, so I run I Think Gaming. We established it in 2021, and we established it to develop African-inspired video games. We believe there is space and a market for us to tell our own stories through the medium of video games and develop our own intellectual property that can, grow from just the video game and hopefully could become a movie one day. It could also, have intellectual property and gaming heroes that could be at the same level as, the big gaming characters, your Super Marios that we played as kids. We would love to see our own African hero. And when that happens, there's so much opportunities around merchandising, around animation and so on. So the games industry is really great in terms of opportunities and that perspective. So I Think Gaming is working very hard to develop our own IP and also working very hard to do advocacy work and get the government, local government, to understand that this sector could be the next sort of mining of Africa, right? Where we develop all these great intellectual properties without any extraction of any minerals whatsoever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Raymond, you're getting me excited, right? Because this takes me to a part that I think is often not understood, leads to confusion, and at times is taken for granted. But as you say, we need to look at this as a new industry that can potentially be bigger than mining. But it raises a lot of confusion. Is gaming media and entertainment? Is it technology? Is it science and development and technology in the AI sphere? Is it sporting, depending on the kind of gaming? And because I guess it's difficult for us to pigeonhole it, does it make it difficult even to have the necessary regulation around it and regulatory and policy support?
100%. I mean, gaming is a mixed medium, so it's all of those things that you've mentioned. It's technology, it's art and culture, it is storytelling and narratives and music, right? Yeah. So it's all the creative industries plus technology combined. And 100% our conversations when we're trying to find a home of game development in South Africa and talking to various government ministries, there's always confusion about who must own it. Is it, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture? Is it Department of Communications? Is it Department of, Science and Technology? But for us, it's, it's all of those ministries combined. We need to find a way, though, that we could set up a common space where each of these ministries can contribute towards. Of course, that becomes a huge challenge, but there's something that we're doing now with the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies to ensure that we can try and coordinate the efforts, right? Mm-hmm. But that work is still in its infancy, and we're quite hopeful. I just came back from Gamescom in Germany, which is the biggest gaming conference in the world. And what we saw there was other countries, except African countries. So other countries are really supporting their industries, and they have national pavilions, and they're showcasing, they've got incentives, they've got tax credits for companies that develop games. And so for us, we are hoping that in the next 5 years, South Africa could be, the Gamescom partner country where we get to showcase our work as a country and, hopefully spur up this industry and get it moving in the right direction.
And I think what you're raising is an important theme, right? Trying to collaborate with some of our peers and partners across not only the continent, but globally as well. Another thing that's often not understood when it comes to the realm of gaming, and you touched on this at the Festival of Entrepreneurship, hosted by IDF Capital, is the socio-economic impact it can have. Mm-hmm. And maybe this is also an area that you can educate us on, because again, gaming is not just about being a couch potato and playing the games, but it's the whole ecosystem around the development, the technology, the music, the partnership, the entertainment factor, and even educational aspects. How does gaming contribute to socioeconomic development, especially in an economy like the one we have on the continent?
Yeah, we need to think of gaming as a gateway. So a young person, for example, in Soweto, Kailicha, can learn coding, can learn game design, can learn animation. A game like we were discussing is art, so they could draw the characters. A game has a story, so if there are writers around the country who love telling stories, they could tell all these African mythology stories that we know, historical stories, make them modernized, and we make a game out of it. There's music. So, from a skilling perspective, there are just immense opportunities that if coordinated properly, we could get a lot of young people who already love the space, who already love playing games, to think of themselves as creators, to think of themselves as entrepreneurs. And with the right support, my view is that we could create video games that the world hasn't seen, because our context, our lived experience is so different from everybody else around the world. And so we could give them a amapiano of games, something fresh, unique, that can only come out of South Africa. And that's what we're trying to do.
For someone who's not in the ecosystem, Raymond, how do they get involved? I'm aware that we never know who's listening, and they could be someone who wants to code, someone who wants to produce music, someone who even wants to offer funding and invest and offer support. Where do we start, and I guess, how do they get involved within the ecosystem?
So please reach out to me. I'm Raymond Ledwaba on LinkedIn. That's a platform that, would be best suited for an engagement and a connection. And we can take it from there because, like, you were explaining, we've founded a consortium. We're working with Treasury. And so there's lots of work happening in this space that with additional support, partners, collaborators, we can really take it to the next level.
And speaking of how else we can also, amplify the messaging around gaming, how else do we as citizens, I guess, get involved, outside of playing the games, but understanding more about the ecosystem?
Yeah, I think step one is to look for games made in South Africa and support and play those games. And I think secondly, for parents in particular who have their children saying they want to learn and study to become a game developer, a game designer, I think, parents shouldn't discourage their children because they think, this is just a plaything. This is a proper industry with tons of opportunities and, a lot of value that your child could get. So I would say it starts with parents understanding that if your children want to create games, they should be supported as much as possible and encouraged. So for me, I think those would be the two key takeaways that I would ask from listeners. Play our games and support your kids in this space.
100%. Raymond, thank you so much for your time this evening, sir. I hope that the trip back from Germany continues to be fruitful, and we look forward to touching base with you in future again, just to understand so much more around this new innovative sector that has so much promise for the African continent. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gugu.
That's Raymond Ledwaba. He is the founder of IT Think Gaming and the Afri Games Consortium. Just when you thought that it doesn't contribute to the economy, my oh my, as you've heard Raymond mention, more than half of the world essentially does actively participate in gaming. But think of it differently. It's not just holding the console or the joystick and playing Super Mario. It's deeper than that. It's the creation of the game through the coding, the technology that is used, the platforms on which it's distributed, the music, the entertainment that's created, and even the messaging. For many of us, we actually aren't aware that a lot of education now is actually driven through gaming, where there's certain rules and regulations and I guess structures around the coding that influence and help develop cognitive lessons, how your brain works, how to problem solve, how to think about scenarios, and even enlighten greater levels of creativity. I tell you all the time, business is never boring.